everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing here a Nekroz deck profile. Yes, this has been a very long time since I last did a deck profile on Nekroz, so I hope you guys have actually missed it because this is something that I just haven't played for a very long time now, and yeah, I definitely miss it myself and I just wanted to build it again, and it was just appropriate for this particular time. Now of course, don't get confused, this is not a Dragtron version of it. I am still working on actually getting all the Dragtron cards that I actually need, and once I do, then I might actually combine the two decks and make some kind of hybrid variant of it. But for the time being, I will just stick to a pure Nekroz deck at the moment because it is still my preferred method of actually playing the deck. However, there's not much else to really say about this, so we're just going to get started. Of course, I'd like to remind you guys that if you enjoyed this video, definitely like, subscribe, and also share this video as well. It definitely really helps out for the channel. But of course, let's begin. So for monsters, we're playing over here one copy of Trishula. Trishula is really amazing, of course. I wish I could actually play two of it if I actually owned a second copy, but for now, one copy is definitely going to be more than enough to suffice. Next, we're playing one copy here of Valkyris. Valkyris was a very interesting card. I used to play 3 of them, but it just doesn't come up as often anymore, and I've actually ended up decreasing it down to one copy now. I think it's quite appropriate for this particular case. You get to stop a battle, but at the same time, it's not so crucial that you need him anymore. Without a doubt, we're going to be playing 3 copies here of Brionik. Brionik is just absolutely amazing for this deck, and you know what? The reason why we're even playing one copy of each of these is because of the fact that we now have access to Brionik. We now have access to yugioh, so by increasing those copies, we end up removing the copies of these. So it definitely does make it quite interesting, and the dynamic of the deck has definitely changed quite a bit. That goes without saying that we're playing here 2 copies of Nekroz of Gungnir. Gungnir is a very interesting card. You discard it and you get to protect any of your Nekroz monsters from either card effect or battle. It's definitely quite nice. Of course, like I said, if I actually owned a second copy of the Trishula, then I would add in a second Trishula and I would remove one copy of Gungnir. That's how I would personally do it. But for now, playing 2 Gungnir is still definitely very nice for me. Next, of course, we're playing 3 copies here of yugioh. Yugioh is absolutely amazing, just stops your opponent's extra deck, and the fact that it's now back at 3, it just warms my heart. It really does. And yeah, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? Nekroz, it's a water type deck. It's kind of like them being part of the ice, but you know, right now it's just yeah, it's the middle of summer right now in Australia, so it's definitely just really hot right now. But the funny thing is, I'm actually just doing this deck profile because it reminds me of the cold, so it's a great thing to take my mind off things. And then finally, we're playing 2 copies here of Clausulus. Clausulus just doesn't come up as often anymore. Of course, playing 2 copies is still definitely going to suffice quite well. Moving on, we're playing 2 copies here of Shret. Shret is definitely very amazing. Even though it is back at 3, I am only going to be playing 2 copies of it. There's no need to actually go ahead and play 3 of them because of the fact that it just seems like overkill. The only reason it was hit down to 1 at one point was because of the fact that it just brought out all your other cards, but even then I don't recall people actually playing 3 copies. People were mostly playing 2, so this was the optimal amount that I felt was worthwhile for the deck itself. Next, of course, we're playing here 1 copy of Ben 10. Ben 10 is absolutely amazing, obviously going to be really great to search out our Christia, but at the same time, also just a level 6 target to go for our Brionik. So great tribute fodder, great searcher. Now moving on to the incantations, we're playing over here 2 copies of Chalice Lime. I actually increased this card down, well, increased it up to 2 copies, which is absolutely amazing. Of course, I'm also using the new ones that I actually pulled from Genesis Impact, so that is definitely quite nice. But yeah, the 2 super rares are quite nice here, and to add in 2 copies has definitely increased the consistency of this deck quite a bit, so I am definitely quite pleased about that. Of course, that goes without saying that we're playing 2 copies of each of the incantations, so 2 copies of Candor, 2 copies of Talus Mantra, 2 copies of Pencil Plume, as well as 2 copies of Bookstone. Absolutely key essentials for the deck, really gets you going, sets up your combos, and I would not play any less of them. Moving on, of course, we're playing here 3 copies of Manju. Absolutely stunning, of course, very amazing card, and just searches you out everything. It's a great starter for the deck itself. That goes without saying that we're also playing here the Christia. I did already mention Ben 10, it's really searchable, so it's definitely quite amazing. And keep in mind that Ben 10 is also searchable off the Preparation of Rites, and so Ben 10 could easily just go into your Christia. This is very easy to bring out now, and the fact that you could just get this out by tributing off your Chalice Limes, well, not your Chalice Limes, but your incantation monsters, it's really amazing. Some people might actually want to play Vanity's Emptiness, or no, Vanity's, it's one of the Vanity's cards, but it's not a great card. Vanity's is a 2500 beat stick as opposed to 2800, and sometimes it's really annoying when my opponent actually just tributes off their monsters to bring out something stronger than 2500 and then just beat over my Vanities, which I just didn't like. So because of that, Christia was definitely a better option because it was 2800, making it more difficult for my opponent to actually deal with. Moving on, we're playing here 2 copies of Nibiru, just a great disruptor onto the opponent, at the same time can also become some kind of tribute voter if it needs to actually be the case. Now onto the spells, we're obviously playing 2 copies here of Mirror, we're also playing 2 copies here of Kaleidoscope, which is absolutely great as well as 2 copies of Cycle. I think the 2-2-2 ratio is definitely very amazing. I like it, it works best here, it's consistent, and I have no complaints about this. Some people might want to drop down the Cycle to 1, that is okay, I have no problems with that. Some people might even want to increase the Kaleidoscope to 3. Sure, that could be fine, but keep in mind that 2 will definitely be enough for you to actually win the game. If you have to use 3, I have a feeling that you're already going to be in quite a bit of a bind and you're not really going to be able to get out of it. And of course, we are still playing the 1 copy of Inception, definitely just amazing, and it's also just really easy to set things off. And of course, we can't forget about our Preparation of Rites, absolutely amazing card, just searches out your Ben 10, searches out your Brionic, and it can even search out your Yugioh if you actually wanted to as well. So quite an amazing card, and it's not restricted to hard once per turn, can also recover back your ritual spell cards, so I just think this card is absolutely amazing for Nekroz. And to end things off for the deck, we're playing here the 1 copy of Caught by the Grave to stop hand traps as best we can. Hopefully it comes back to 3 in the next ban list, of course, in March. But obviously we also have the Instant Fusion engine, just becoming a new favorite of mine that I'd love to add in to the actual deck itself. Now, I think a few people are actually going to question me about this, but why am I not playing Pot of Extravagance? Well, we're playing the Herald of Pure Light, and we're also playing quite a few other extra deck essentials that I feel like Extravagance just doesn't really have to be played. It's not a necessity for the deck. The deck already works quite consistently on its own. Alright, so moving on here for the extra deck now, we're going to be playing quite a bit of a toolbox. Tornado Dragon, Castell, because we can. We have Manju and we also have Yugioh, so it is possible to obviously go into these. We also have the Utopia package right here, and this is kind of like the Xyz toolbox that we like to go into. It's quite fun, it's quite amazing, and it does the job. We're also playing our 2 very obvious cards, 2 copies of Herald of Arclight. I said Pure Light before, correct me, but this is actually meant to be Arclight. So yeah, Arclight, we're playing 2 copies. I wish I could play a 3rd copy if I actually owned one. Hopefully I could actually find it, but for now 2 copies is still plenty for enough for me to actually just finish off my opponent. Moving on, we have our Kaleidoscope target again, so Zolkin is definitely great, brings out either our Valkyris plus our Yugioh together, and it just works really well. For a bit of a more playful engine in the deck, we're also playing here the Verte Anaconda. Yes, I am playing 2 copies of Super Poly in my side deck, so sometimes I might side it in, so the Verte Anaconda does actually come up, and I sometimes go into my Instant Fusion targets. And that goes without saying that the links will also have other utilities like Cerberus and Phoenix. Feel free to take out the Cerberus and put in a Unicorn instead, that could definitely work as well. And of course we're also playing here the Anima, absolutely essential card. Well, it's not essential, but it's a really good card to add to the engine. Next, of course, we're playing here the Millennium Eyes. You could play Thousand Eyes if you want, but again, it falls into the category of the engine itself. And the fact that this card can kind of mitigate or at least reduce and prevent the opponent's hand traps, it's definitely very amazing. And finally, we're playing 2 copies here, well, 2 fusions at least, but 1 copy of Starving Venom, 1 copy of Almaduke, just my instant or my super poly targets, and yeah, it just works incredibly well. But keep in mind that that's a level 9, that's a level 8, so you could again go for Kaleidoscope with these particular cards as well, so it definitely works out quite amazingly. However, that was pretty much it for this deck profile, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, definitely drop a like, leave down comments on your thoughts about this, and also subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget to also share as well, it really means a lot. And yes, there will be test hands for this, so do stay tuned for that. However, in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you all next time.